All right, welcome to The Leads Are Shit. This is a real estate magazine podcast, and normally we have the owner of Real Estate Magazine, Andrew Fogliato, who is also the founder of Just Sell Homes, a real estate marketing company so that real estate agents can just sell homes. But today we also have a special guest. This is Justin Benson. Justin is in his second entrepreneurship, serial entrepreneur, and he's very focused on helping real estate agents be, I guess maybe the term is connected with their clients and let the systems handle the rest.
Yeah, getting humans back to the human side of this thing.
Yeah. So if I were to kind of like go in the Wayback Machine, then I think that basically you made a transition from music into real estate. And
Sort of. It was actually real estate to music and then back to real estate, actually. So, biochem, tech, founder companies, and then out of nowhere, an old friend of mine, John Glutch, called out of the blue and was like, "Hey, man, I know you're building that software company for elementary schools, but ever think about starting a real estate company?" And like, no, never in
wow.
never did I think that I was going to do that. But his daughter is my goddaughter, and I had just exited that last company. I was taking the month off, was going to get married, come back from my honeymoon, sort it out whenever I got back. And instead, I said yes. And instead of taking the month off, I went and got a real estate license. And we built that between him and I and our hoodies and board shorts in Scottsdale, Arizona to 3 states and selling a lot of houses every year. So it was a lot of fun. I sold just about 400 some odd homes before I got out of production building that organization.
Oh, that's fantastic. So
Yeah.
as I lose my, oh, we should plug them. We know these guys. Follow up
What is
boss.
that? Oh, yeah. Follow Up Boss. Know them very well.
Shout out to Dan. Um, so when I see that, that's kind of interesting for me, but it says to me that you say yes a lot.
To the right things and the right people, right? Like, I mean, every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to 10 more things, right? So, yes, being diligent about the things that I do say yes to matters a lot. And when I say yes, I'm 1,000% in, right? So,
That's something that's really good. I think that that's something that I had to learn over time because I would commit to things that would take me in multiple directions at once and kind of feel like they was pulling me apart.
yeah. And then you sit around wishing that you could just focus on one thing. If you could just spend all of your time focusing on this one thing, maybe you could make it something awesome. And it's the crux of most everything that's worth building. Even at Shiloh, we get a lot of, "Hey, are you guys going to build broker compliance into Shiloh anytime soon?" And we're like, "No." Like, we're coaching, training, and then Shiloh's an assistant for real estate agents, but like broker compliance, transaction management, all of that stuff on the other side of the castle in a real estate organization, it's so far outside of our focus. Yeah, we could probably spool some stuff together to appease people, but it wouldn't be excellent, right? It wouldn't be best in class, and it takes so much focus to be best in class. So that's speaking of Follow Boss. That's one of those. It's an example of one of those companies, right? Like
Hmm.
Dan, very close friend, and he got hit up over and over again. Like, why don't you guys build websites? Why don't you guys build websites? Like every other CRM has websites. Why don't you build websites? And it's like, because we're not a website company. We're a CRM company. That's all that we do is build the CRM functionality and then create ways for you to integrate with whatever vendor partner you want to. And lo and behold, they built the best CRM in our space, right? So
It's so funny. And spending time with Dan, he's like, how did you end up in real estate? Because like most of the people that end up in real estate feel as though their primary skill is sales. And you actually approach this as an entrepreneur. Like you're almost like in the wrong spot, which I thought was a really nice compliment from him. But when you take a look at Dan's progress with Follow Up Boss, he had one other partner, and then they kind of built it in this almost like not necessarily how you see all tech being built, just a portion. But then that might be the same. Was that the same type of setup that you did with Bara Agency when
um,
you like just kind of built it as a business as you went? Because I think that you raised funds for Shiloh, right?
yeah, we raised funds for Shiloh. We weren't originally going to raise funds, but I can expand upon that more. But Bar Agency, for those of you listening that don't know, that's we're a fractional CTO agency. And that's a very nerdy way to say we build lots of custom technology for large organizations that you have heard of, most likely. So that what happened there was bar agency started because I founded real estate and technology collided when I was an owner in a real estate team, right? I didn't know any better. I came from tech. And what do you do in tech? Well, if software doesn't exist, you build internal tools to solve those things. And if you need integrations, you build those and you shape all the technology to the way that you want the organization to operate. And I didn't know any better when I started building a real estate team. So that's exactly what I did. And then, fast forward, have a bunch of friends that are very large team leaders say, hey, is there anybody that you know of that does that thing that you were looking for? And what they meant was not a COO or an operations person. They all had that on lock. What they were looking for was like a CTO, a chief technology officer. The problem with that is that the skill set's expensive to hire and it's not even close to a full-time job. Most of our clients, even real big clients, like your Justin Havers or Ashton's of the world, they're ebb and flow between 20 to 30 hours a month of our services on that side, right? So I ran a test on that side. I just said, hey, 3 friends, let's test out this fractional CTO thing. You'll hire me back then to just design and architect and build your systems, and we'll just see how it works. And then 90 days went by and everybody loved it and we kept going. And we did raise a very small amount of money. So I don't mean very small in it was $200,000 in the very beginning of Bar Agency as kind of seed capital to make sure that we could hire ahead. The real issue with Bara is that the issue and the beauty of it is that finding and training people that know both real estate in and out and also know technology in and out is a very hard skill set to do. It's almost impossible to find it in one human being combined. So you end up having to train one or the other, but training one or the other kind of takes at least 6 months to get to a competency level that we expect for being front facing for our clients at our agency, right? So we had to hire really expensive people ahead of having the business to pay for them, right? So that was the reason why we needed to raise funds on the front end, is because we needed time in the seat to train the initial people. And then once that happened, now we have a bit of a flywheel, right? So that was kind of the journey on the bar agency side, and just kind of grown it with, income and cash as things have allowed, and ups and downs of market cycles and some extreme swings from time to time of like, oh, we're doing awesome. And then like the very next month, something happens in the real estate industry and, we lose 200 hours of client hours just like that, which is like, oh, cool. There's like a third of our income vanished in a month. Like, fantastic. I'm glad that we are fiscally responsible and we have some reserves to weather the storm, basically, right? So
Yeah, and that's one of the things about the people attracted to entrepreneurship, right? Is the idea is essentially you're going to have to withstand these extreme highs and these extreme lows.
mhm.
But if you're able to do that, then you'll have the capacity to do things you wouldn't ever be able to do as an employee.
Paul Graham used to say, not used, I mean, I think he still says it. He's the founder of Y Combinator. For
Hmm.
those that don't know, I know Y Combinator is like this massive kind of early incubator VC thing. They founded companies that like Stripe and Dropbox and Airbnb and companies like that. So
And
they
Sam
have a
Altman was big in Y
Mhm.
Combinator before he went out to what we know as him now is
Yeah.
with OpenAI.
Correct. Yeah. So the founder of Y Combinator, his whole thing, there's like 2 rules. Build shit people want. This is rule number 1. Like, don't build things that you think people want, build things that people actually want. And then the second is the number 1 rule in business is to stay in business. That's your only job. If you can survive, and he makes some extreme analogies, like we need to be the cockroaches. Like when everybody else dies, when the atomic bomb goes off, we are the cockroaches that figure out how to outlast it, because the companies that win are the ones that can last through those ups and down cycles in our economy throughout not just the United States or Canada, but the world, honestly, at this point. So you look at companies in their portfolio at Y Combinator, like, yeah, Dropbox and Uber and a bunch of those companies were built during extreme recessions, actually.
Hmm.
And they made it through, and look at them now, right? So yeah, just find a way to stay in business. It's the only rule of business. So
Yeah, I love that because if you build in this environment where you are surrounded by scarcity,
mhm.
then you really understand what the low end looks like. So when you see it again, it's almost like you've always built to withstand that initial trouble.
Yeah.
Whereas those people that start in these like markets where everyone around them is like, yeah, we're all making AI companies.
Mhm.
And it's like, okay, but this is like the little turtles on the beach being picked off by the seagulls.
1,000%. I mean, that's the nature of startups anyways, and the way that VCs even work with startups is like, yeah, we just funded 20 companies and probably two of them will work out and all the rest of them will die on their way to the ocean, basically. So
But this is also real estate. Like 13% of us have more than 5 years experience, and that's
mhm.
basically because we kind of cook the rest.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
well, and
that's
the
interesting to
reality is
me.
that like for real estate, it's any industry. It's not just building a tech company or whatever. It's being a real estate agent as well. Having the wherewithal to be able to withstand highs and lows, like you have to be okay with that if you're in real estate. Real estate is an extremely cyclical market to be in. It's not like you're in a STEM economies, you're like science, technology, education, math kind of economies where like universities are, like Raleigh, North Carolina. Those are typically a little bit more stable, but they don't have the extreme highs that in real estate when it's like it's feast or famine, right? It's back and forth all the time. So just knowing that that is the nature of the industry that we're in helps prepare you mentally for like, cool, I've seen this before and I was smart. I didn't go buy three G Wagons and waste all my money. Before I started doing that, I bought investments and assets that pay for my lifestyle. And I've got money socked away to withstand the inevitable storm that will be coming for me eventually if I stay in this market long enough or in this job profession long enough. Right. So,
Well, how did you know it was time to go? So when you're running a successful real estate team, things are going well. Like, what called you to start another company?
me and some friends got signed to a record label. That's
So
it was yeah.
disruption is what called you.
Dude, it was not like a yeah, it was not a I just I didn't have an epiphany in the middle of the night. It was me and a couple friends have been writing music together for a long time. We just kind of got lucky and got the call one day. And I remember calling John, my business partner. I'm like, dude, I got to do this. Like, I don't think I'm going to make any money doing this. I think I'm actually going to like lose money trying to going on this adventure. But like, I can't say no to this. This is something that I've wanted to do since I was young, and I get to do it with two of my best friends and get so many cool life experiences from it and so many stories and so many memories and, the music that's out there. They got a funny, a lot of streams and stuff and I'll remember that portion of my life for forever. So that was really what disrupted things for me. So
Yeah, I felt the same. Like, I left production because I became investor number one into a tech company that eventually NASA called $2 billion as an evaluation. And to not be in that industry now is something I kind of had to walk off.
yeah,
Was that hard when you came back to real estate?
it wasn't because there was this realization that it wasn't what I wanted to do full time. You have some dreams in life where it's like, oh, do I want to make a career out of this? I'm I'm a builder creative kind of by heart, right? So I love being in the studio, making music, experimenting with things, building new things, trying new things out. And, it's kind of like the lab, right? It's what makes me good at building technology as well. I'm a kind of a product first CEO in the fact that like I wake up every morning not thinking about how to build the next sales funnel for Shiloh. I'd like really need to grow in that area, but I do wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and go, I think I just solved how to deal with Punjabi English mixing back and forth inside of Shiloh and get it to pick up the recognition and actually grade it correctly now. This is a real
Mm.
thing that just happened kind of thing, right? I wake up in the middle of the night with stuff like that. I just love tweaking. So the music thing, there's not a lot of money in writing and publishing music these days, but there's a lot of money in performing, right? But the performance thing was something that I had to do. I didn't love it. I didn't like it's not that I was shy or embarrassed to be on stage. It was just like the travel, being out of my rhythm, being away from my family, like the lifestyle that was going to create for me. I didn't care about performing enough to sacrifice being home with the kids and stuff, right? Like it's just a value system mismatch. So I still get called into writing sessions and like write songs and do stuff like that from time to time. But I just realized real fast that it's not what I want. And that's no knock on other people that like love doing that. I got one of those best friends is a very successful musician. He's on tour all the time and he freaking loves it. And that's awesome. I'm really happy for him, right? So,
Oh, that's super awesome. I kind of felt the same thing, when It's interesting to have a skill set that other people value. That's fantastic. It's amazing to be acknowledged for that. That was also something that tech gave me is I was put in a room with very smart people and they were like, "Oh shit, you're one of us." And that was, that's defining in some aspects. But there's other things that you're like, I need these pieces for my fulfillment, and some of this will just pull me off the road. And that
Yeah.
can be really difficult. But actually, a few weeks ago, I got to work with an actress from Yellowstone to write a pitch on how we could save wild horses in America using drones.
Dude, that's
It,
awesome.
it's just neat to look in the window sometimes. And some of the people that call are amazing, right? And you're
Yeah.
like, "Hey, I would work on this just for access, just for spending time with you."
And that kind of curiosity creates, I've been labeled a lucky person in my life. Like, oh man, things just happen for Justin.
Mm.
I think part of that is like trying my best to be a good human, like leave people better than I found them and like do what I say I'm going to do and stick to those rules in my life. But curiosity is like the core component to luck, in my opinion, right? So the curiosity to go like, well, I wonder I wonder what building drones to save horses could look like, and at least kind of peeking behind it. Sometimes that can lead to distraction, which is a whole different topic, right? But at least peeking behind and being open to those ideas, it creates luck because you're essentially turning over rocks that other people just would have never thought to turn over in the first place, right? So you never know what life is going to throw at you. Like, who knows? You might be winning a Nobel Peace Prize for, helping save the horses here soon.
It's interesting to see, and it's also interesting to just be in company with people that actually want to do stuff.
Yeah.
Like most people don't even talk a big game. And then there's people that just talk a big game, and then there's people that actually do big things.
Yeah.
And it's a whole different group. But that's actually something that we see. You were talking about distraction, and I think that that's probably 99% of AI right now.
It is it's infuriating. I go to things like even Inman or whatever, I show up as the younger guy. I'm not the youngest guy, but I'm the one of the younger CEOs in those crews. And you say, "Oh, hey, yeah." They're like, "What do you do?" I'm like, "Oh, I run an AI company." And you can see people's eyes like glaze over when you say it to
Hmm.
them. And I have a weird like sadness and anger when I see it happen because I'm like, no, 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 no. We're not one of those ones. Like we're not like and then you like have to resist this urge to start name dropping like no, this person uses it, this person uses it, this person uses it.
Yeah.
Like no, I don't want to chase that either. So that's like annoying that I have to become the name droppy person to like convince them that we're not one of those AI companies, right? But crappy products make it so much harder for us to gain people's trust ultimately. And I hate it so much when people roll out like half-baked things and then spend a lot of marketing doing it and then disappoint people. And then we have to spend so much energy undoing what people's expectations are because they were unfortunately sold a false bill of goods, right? So
This
it,
parallels real estate so much where there's a section of people that are in real estate all the time, but they kind of like it's a revolving door. I
yeah.
call them tourists. And they're people that think that real estate is like a phase of life. And they basically come into our industry and they overpromise and underdeliver to their friends and then let them down. But that collectively becomes our reputation.
Especially in America, where you can just go get a license in 90 days with a high school degree. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I don't know that the barrier to entry is where we should make that change. I kind of like the idea that people just come in here and eat dirt because the people that are good at this take their lunch.
yeah,
But it's similar. The one thing with AI, though, is that everyone perceives it as being a universal tool for anything they can think up. Like, oh,
yeah.
yeah, you just use it for everything. It's like, yeah, it's like, man, there's this old movie called My Big Fat Greek Wedding, and there's a dude that was thought that Windex solved everything. Oh, you got a sore? We'll fix that with the Windex. And same kind of thing. Why are people just like lost? Why are they going so wide and not deep?
It feels magical. AI is so good, especially historically, at not just kind of knowing everything about everything, but also giving answers that feel factually true, but are not also factually true. It's called a hallucination, right? It makes things up. It I get
So
caught in that even from time to time. I'm hesitating mostly because the experience that we are having with AI in this day and age is something that is so new and novel to humankind, which is I can speak, not just typing anymore. I can speak to an AI avatar of Taylor, and I have a conversation with him. Like, that's freaking crazy, right? So because it feels so magical, it's really easy to start just kind of believing that, like, oh, it's always right. It's always right. It's always right. And it's just not true, right? Like am I able to share my screen on this? Will people actually see it if that
that's a good
happens?
question. The
Yeah.
so if you can try to do that, let me see what we see. But we're having Courtney help us out with this because Andrew's away, so I don't know if I have the ability to actually. Oh,
Can you see it?
yes.
All right, sweet. So this is an example, and I'll say it out loud for those that are listening and not watching a screen. But like, I pulled up a chat GPT where I pull this up in front of people and I go, "Hey, we're just going to play a complete the sentence game because GPT and all LLMs are just trained on the probable next word that would come next. It's extremely sophisticated autocomplete is the easiest way to think about how this works. Not like what Siri does in your phone, but it's that idea times billions at this point, right? So complete the sentence. In Buckeye, Arizona, where I am, it's kind of this rural outskirts area of Phoenix, Arizona, right? So I did this in front of a team in Arizona. I was like, okay, cool. If you live in Buckeye, you probably drive a dot, dot, dot. Click send to GPT. It says, if you live in Buckeye, you probably drive a lifted truck with oversized tires and a flag in the bed, and you have a love-hate relationship with gas prices. And everyone in the room starts laughing because it just quoted the stereotype that is Buckeye, Arizona. Why? Because that's the most probable thing. It sees that the most, right? Its training data show that the most. Okay, cool. Let's like go further. A kitchen was just remodeled with these features. Dot, dot, dot. Click send. A kitchen was just remodeled with these features: sleek white shaker cabinets, quartz countertops, a sparkle under pendant lighting, a farmhouse sink, and matte black hardware. And you're like, well, there's
Killed it.
that's every remodeled flip house that exists at this
This
point,
is
right?
70% of Pinterest right now.
Yes, it's giving you the most common thing, but here's where things go off the rails. I said, okay, now watch this. This is all fun and games until I say, I've got a client in Mesa that wants a safe neighborhood that they should live in. Dot, dot, dot.
Ooh, touchy.
And then it responds with, okay, I've got a client in Mesa that wants a safe neighborhood. They should look in Eastmark, Lascendis, Dobson Ranch. These areas are known for low crime. And it keeps droning on about that. And you go, and we all know we can't say that. That's illegal. We cannot say things like that. The AI is very good at probability and very bad at common sense current day. Maybe we solve this in the future, but right now it's not great. Like even when when GPT-5 showed up last week, I tested it right away and I was like, how many bees are in blueberry? And it responded and it said, oh, there's 3 bees in blueberry. I'm like, oh, are you sure? And it said, yeah, I'm sure. I triple checked. And then it started going like, okay, so let me count it out for you. B in the very beginning, B. And then it went, oh, wait, there's no other B. I was just being overly generous with consonants. And you're like,
Oh,
okay, so if you can't count how many bees are in blueberry, we probably shouldn't trust it for everything without it being fact checked. And so much of our lives over at Shiloh is we have reinforced Shiloh with millions and millions and millions of hours of sales calls to get it to understand the context portion of things. We should say this. We should never say this. This should happen. This should never happen. All of that context training and reinforcement feedback to the model are things that GPT does not have when you just pull it off the shelf and start using it for those things, right? So that's a really good comparison as to like the difference between pulling something off the shelf and just trusting it versus a purpose-built tool that was made for a very specific thing utilizing AI, right?
so why isn't this just a really fancy parrot? Why do people think that this thinks?
Because it sort of does in its idea of what a reasoning model is, what everything is transitioning to, right? Your original models, like your GPT, even four, not that long ago, they're they're reactive, right? It's the equivalent of me asking you a question right now, and you just no time to think, spit out an answer as fast as you possibly can, right? Um, that is what those models are. And then you have reasoning models, your O3s and now 5 and Anthropic's Claude and Grok 4 and all of those ones where you ask it a question and it's the equivalent of me asking you a question and you step back and you pause for a little while and you ponder and you wonder like, oh, is that right? No, I'm not sure. Maybe I should think about it this way. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder how those two thoughts compare. Well, that one seems like that's probably the most correct for the context that he asked me for, and then you give an answer at that point, right? It's instead of being reactive, it is responsive now at this point, and it is emulating. We're not going to say that it's the same. AI still does not have the ability to create novel ideas, meaning like brand new ideas, right? It can only copy and regurgitate things that it has seen in the past. That might change at some point. We will see. But current day, it cannot create ideas all on its own. That is very human of us to do things like that. So it is mimicking our thought process, but it can't actually mirror the creative process that happens for the humans, right? So when people say it's thinking, it is in theory thinking, but just in a very different way than humans actually think. So
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to me because, like, when you take a look at the probability of guessing the next letter and what the system is based on as a large language model, that part to me kind of feels like mimicry and that it's just kind of working some things out. And then when they start to talk about it being having the ability to do some level of reason, they're almost like adding a prefix system onto that basically takes it through a series of filters to add or remove context based on another probability sequence. So they're kind of using the same trick in a different way as a pre-prompt into the other prompt. Am I
yeah,
wrong?
it's making assumptions basically. So
Hmm.
it's just like here's a good example of this. If I ask you, we do this as humans. Sometimes we ask questions and we give lots of context. Like, hey Taylor, I want to know what it's like to live in the wintertime in Canada when I'm from Arizona and I'm not used to the cold, and I also want to know like what I should prepare for. And
Hmm.
you're, because I gave you all that context, you're going to give me a very specific answer in return. Versus if I gave you a question that was like, hey, what's it like to live in Canada? There's a whole different thing there, right? Now you are starting to make like, okay, well, I know that Justin's from Arizona. I don't know how he does in the cold. I don't know. Not sure. Not sure if he's one of us. He can't grow a beard, so that'll probably be an issue for him, like all of that stuff. And then you start making some assumptions and then you give a response, right? There
Mhm.
are times where you do want to do both. Sometimes you want a very pointed answer. Sometimes I just want to find out what you think about something without coloring it beforehand. It's a very similar process is what's happening there, right? And it tries its best to assume things of you. So like GPT, for example, stores a lot of its memory about the things that you have talked about in the past, right? So if I ask ChatGPT, like, hey, what company do I run right now? It'll say, oh, you run Bar Agency and you've recently founded Shiloh. It knows that about me. So it can, when it's reasoning, it can use those things as the assumptions that we do when we kind of talk back and forth as humans. The problem is that it's wrong a lot of the times. Like
Confidently wrong.
it also thinks that sometimes the other day I typed in, I was like, hey, use everything that you know about me and do X, Y, and Z. And it was like, oh, okay, is it Justin? No, it looks like it's Alex. And Alex is a real estate agent that has sold 4 houses in the past 3 months. So, and then it outputted, hey, Alex, how are you doing? I have talked to this thing. I
And
don't know how many conversations I have had with ChatGPT, but it is pulling one thing out of its memory when I forgot to say, instead of me saying, hey, I have a friend named Alex and I want to explore this idea, I said, hey, I'm a real estate agent. I sold 4 houses last month, and here's the data. And I really want to understand what I can do to improve in the next quarter, given the people that I sold houses to. And it logged in its memory because in the data that I gave it, that the agent of record was Alex, and now it was conflicted, thinking that my name was Alex at that point, right? So
mm,
it's it it's again the common sense thing. It's not good at the common sense thing. So
yeah, and that's the thing. Like, there's that famous statement, "I think, therefore I am,"
yeah,
and it seems that they're running this backwards. They are, therefore they think. That's like what large language models appear to be to me. It's kind of like decent librarians in a kind of a crummy library that we all made.
It's
I find,
also like a lobotomy, honestly, is like the most
yeah,
severe way that I can think about it. The brain is living outside of the body. It's like completely cut off, right? So, a good example, we hand rolled and hand built all of Shiloh's role play system, right? Because ours isn't situationally based where it's like, I'm calling a sign call. Ours is you just had a call with this person. Shiloh gave you a 3-star call, gave you all this awesome coaching feedback, and you want to try to apply that coaching feedback. Great, let's go ahead and role play it. And Shiloh will ingest transcription, the tonality, the objections that happen, and create another role play in the likeness of that role play that you just had. So you can then try to apply the skills that Shiloh just told you could probably do better on, right? With that being said, early on, we realized that it's very hard, kind of past 2 to 3 minutes, to get the AI to remember that it's still the client and not the real estate agent. It starts falling off the tracks because it just loses context. Because on the LLM side, it doesn't have context. It's not storing like a brain of this is who I am, this is what I'm doing. They actually leave that up to companies like us, which is seems so bass backwards, basically, right? It's like so to solve that, what we have to do is literally through a data layer, remind the model every 30 seconds. This is how far you are in the conversation. This is who you are. Do not forget that your name is Justin Benson. You called from Zillow. Like we have to keep reminding it every 30 seconds in the background as you're having that conversation to make sure the thing doesn't fall off the rails, right? So
yeah. Hey, Grandpa, wake up.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly. Like, hey, just hey, look at me, look at me, look
yeah.
at me. You are not the real estate agent. You are Justin Benson, the caller from Zillow. The other person is the real estate agent. Do not abandon your role here.
That's interesting. So, from the perception of Bara agency, you were looking at this landscape and seeing that, agents need systems in order for them to achieve milestones.
Yeah.
Like the efficiency of systems are so key. And then taking a look at that as AI was kind of rolling towards us, you seem to focus on some specific things. Like what you were just talking about there is using artificial intelligence instead of the world. The world is saying use artificial intelligence to talk to clients.
Yeah.
And
I do
you're
not believe
saying
in that.
use artificial intelligence to improve the people that talk to clients.
Yes. Yes. Even as the AI guy, I don't want to talk to an AI when I call a real estate organization. Like, I don't, I also hate the fact that people are using AI and trying to trick people into thinking that they're actually talking to a human when they're not actually talking to a human. I really hate that portion of things because uh, people groups like old people and immigrants where English is not their first language usually get taken advantage of in we using technology like that, right? So very easy to scam an old grandma utilizing a voice that's an AI saying, "Hey, this is your grandson Justin," and they were able to train an AI voice off of me because they watched this video and they created an AI voice clone of me. And it's like, hey, I'm stuck in Mexico and I need $50,000 right now. This isn't theoretical stuff. This stuff is happening right now. I have real life stories of this happening to people. So much so that our family has a safe word. We went outside in the backyard, left our phones inside, away from everything, and we said a word that, like, okay, if one of us ever gets the call, we just go, cool, what's the family safe word? And if they don't know this family safe word, that is not my wife calling from Mexico. That is somebody trying to scam me, right? So I hate the fact. I am a firm believer that AI outbound voice and inbound voice should have a disclaimer, just like call recordings, that says this call is being facilitated by an AI, by artificial intelligence. Then at that point, we're on an equal playing field because there are things that I would love that for. I don't want to sit on hold on the Delta website to book my plane tickets. I'd rather be able to call an AI that's awake at 4 o'clock in the morning, call, and I can no, I'm not on hold, and it just goes, oh, hey, Justin, great to see you. Yeah, cool. Let me pull up your flight. Yeah, we can shift it to one of these 3 flights. Which one do you want? I want that one. Cool. Are you cool with the $200 upcharge? We're fine. Credit card on file? Fine. Fine. Great. You rebooked. You get an email here in a second with your boarding tickets. Thank you. That's
Yeah.
such a
So
great implementation for AI voice.
take those zeros and turn them into ones, but don't take those nines and turn them into threes.
Yeah.
There's places for this. And also, a lot of people that are trying to approach this on AI voice don't understand that conversion is based on connection.
Yeah.
So,
This is
like,
a story as old as time, though. Like people always try to find a shortcut.
So are those scams. Did you know that the origin of the scam that you just described, where somebody needed money in Mexico, actually dates back to medieval times?
No.
Yeah,
What?
yeah. The country that had one of the first rules against this, surprisingly enough, is Nigeria, and they called them 419 scams. And what they are is the funny thing is that they predate the internet because we all know from like the emails that they send out
Yeah, now
that
it's a joke. It's like, oh,
that's
did you get scammed
modern.
by a Nigerian prince today? You know?
But it used to be a script that was actually written out in a letter form, and they would send it to England and say, like,
Oh.
hey, your neighbor only named four people that they knew from their village, and they've been taken hostage. And in order to buy their freedom, it takes this much money. And they would use these things back way before technology. And the funny thing that a lot of people don't see, even that are in real estate that are involved in these systems, is you'll get these emails from scam artists and they'll have like mistakes in the spelling. And like there's a bunch of things that are kind of like the hallmarks of trouble, but that's actually one of the ways they filter.
Hmm.
Is they don't want people that are super sharp to respond to these emails. They want people that respond to show that their gate is lowered.
A
You know
thousand
that
percent.
they're yeah.
That's why I said like it's margin like it'll be people groups. It preys on vulnerable populations, basically, is
Yes,
is
and
is
it's
what it
designed
does.
for that.
Hmm.
Yep, it
Like
goes
I'm
out.
I'm a tech guy. Before I click on some email that's like your Facebook account, it looks like it's going to get shut down. I don't click on the button. I'm a nerd, so I pull open the metadata in the email. I'm like, I'm going to look at that URL string before I actually click on it. I'm like, oh, that says Facebook.com. Like that is not Facebook.
Or even looking at the actual email address that's sending it,
Hmm.
and
Yep.
that's normally pretty telltale.
That's
So
getting
think
complicated though. There people are getting better and better at spoofing some of that stuff from time to time. So the bulletproof way is to investigate the URL of the thing you are about to click prior to clicking it. And if it looks like it's some random string of words and letters, there's yeah,
it's
probably
trouble.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So with Shiloh, one of the aspects is that it will give feedback and help people train to make better phone calls,
Mhm.
right? And then what other elements did you choose to approach?
What you just described is what we launched as, which is Shiloh was a coach. Shiloh listens to every single conversation. We're putting together a white paper as we speak. Hopefully, it'll be done in about a week from now. But in a calendar year of time, Shiloh has analyzed the equivalent of 6 years and 22 days of uninterrupted speaking. It is an immense amount of data that we have analyzed and crunched over just one calendar year of time. And that was the core of what we started with. Okay, Shiloh's going to listen to every single call, create visibility around that, create insights around that are very personalized to you as the individual, and then also personalized to even the personality type that we are giving that feedback to, right? So like, hey, that personality type of that client that you're speaking to is this. So the coaching feedback is going to be different than if the personality type was different on the other side, right? So we're getting very, very nerdy about the delivery, even and the coaching advice that we are giving to the individual agent based on their personality type and the kind of coaching that we're giving to deliver that message correctly to the personality type that's on the other side of the phone, right? So that was the coaching side of things. But the vision was kind of to always be good at three core disciplines. So coaching, and then we marched ourselves into about 5 months ago, it went into beta, was role play. And that's training. So Shiloh's good at coaching, but coaching is part of it. That's like watching the game film on a TV, right? Like if you're any sports people out there, like you're watching yourself or you're listening to yourself back, or you're analyzing your performance and having a coach tell you these are the things that you can improve on. But at some point you need to get back out on the field or on the stage or in front of a client and you need to practice again. The problem with doing it in front of a client is that if you screw up again, you're going to lose money is the reality, right? So that's a high stakes game. Professional athletes don't go practice on the next team that they're facing. They practice on an actual practice field before they go get to that team, right?
And they don't
So
practice on game day.
yeah, exactly, right? So uh, the role play was the ability for agents to have a practice field. So cool. Now we can train using Shiloh. Now we can create real life role plays where it's all of it is predicated off of real life calls. We could, even for new agents that are joining the team, they join the team and here's all, hey, new agents, there's a catalog in the role play library that is called new agents. There are 10 3-star calls in there. You must turn those into 5-star calls before we set you loose on live leads, right? Now
Ooh,
it creates this
interesting.
really cool pass or fail mechanism that's like no longer subjective. And then, so coaching, training. And now the stuff that we're currently working on right now is the last kind of leg of the stool for product for Shiloh, which is assisting.
Hmm.
Kind of thinking about Shiloh as this Jarvis for real estate agents. But the reason why we're doing that is because our goal and desire is to get better at coaching and training. Some people are like, oh, that assisting thing seems different than the other two. Like, why are you doing that? Well, the reality is that we're busy as real estate agents. And I say we because I still have an active license and I sold a bunch of houses. Like we're busy. And after phone calls and after appointments and things like that, it's not that we're lazy. I guess some people are lazy, but it's like you just don't have the time to get back in the CRM and update all the notes perfectly and make sure everything is perfect and set appointments and change the stages and get all of that stuff done. The problem is that after those activities, if that data is not correct in some kind of data source, it makes it really impossible to coach and train the people that are out there, right? And that's not just for Shiloh, that's for sales managers and team leaders and coaches, human versions of this out in the industry, right? So we need Shiloh to go ahead and clean up those things after all the phone calls, after appointments. Let's have Shiloh be your note taker and also be able to coach and analyze those things, but set appointments automatically, create notes in your CRM, change stages automatically, and even enrich the contact record with the stuff that you probably forgot to write down in the first place. Like, oh, they have dogs, they go to a church, they are a move up, they are a mortgage opportunity, they're interested in jumbo loans, they speak Spanish. All of that data that we forget to notate, Shiloh's also doing that for them as well. The rest of our roadmap for this calendar year is those things, and everything that I just talked about is in beta right now, and knock on wood, everything's going very well so far. Hopefully should be rolling out for the general like public of Shiloh kind of close to the end of this month, basically. And then at that point, we have this AI that's good at coaching, training, and assisting agents and assisting so that the data is accurate so we can become even better at coaching and training the agents to perform at a higher level.
Hmm. When you think about examples of like assistants that you kind of see, I'm not sure if you're familiar with these, but is it going to be Jarvis or is it going to be Pepper Potts or is it going to be Donna from Suits?
I love Donna and I love Pepper because they're both spicy. I was raised by like a high profile CEO mother that made it as a
Nice.
businesswoman in America and the days before there was even role models for women that wanted to do that stuff. So I love the like the fact that it could be Donna or it could be Pepper. It's just like I'm not going to put up with your shit. I'm just going to like freaking do it or else, you know. Where Jarvis is like a little bit like he's friendly. He's like, I'm not sure, Iron Man, if you should do that. Are you sure? Are you like where Pepper would be like, I swear to God, if you do that, I'm gonna slash your tires, is what I'm gonna do. And I was basically uh I I want Shiloh to be a friendly helper, but I don't want it to be a sycophant, right? So
Hmm.
there's an in-between. In theory, GPT-5 was supposed to make ChatGPT less sycophanty, very way less yes man oriented, a little bit more slated in the direction of things like Grok, you know, love or hate Elon or whatever you decide on him. That's separate than the technology that was built, right? Grok is historically been very good at not just agreeing with you, basically, with pushing back and it kind of having its own thoughts about how things should go down, right? Um, I want that because a coach has to be that, right? A coach can't just go, "Hey, Justin, you did a great job." Like that's fine, but there needs to also be, Justin, you did really good at X, Y, and Z, and not but, because but my dad used to say like everything before the but was horseshit. Like whenever you hear
Yeah.
but in a
Yeah.
sentence, right? So
Disregard what I just said.
yeah,
Yes.
disregard everything that was just said, and then however is just a fancy but, you know. Um, the here's the three things that you did well, and here are three things that could also improve. Both are true. You did these well, and you also didn't do these well. here's how the feedback should be given. And that's actually how we structure all the feedback in Shiloh. It's like, here's the top 3 things that you did on a call. Even if it's a 1 or 2 star call, we do our best to find something that went well. Sometimes it gets real tough for the old Shiloh robot to find some things, and it's under strict instructions not to make stuff up. Basically, like just leave it blank. If you literally cannot find 3 things, just leave the rest of them blank. And then here's the things that you should probably improve on, but not in a hey, just go do this. It's not that. It's, hey, Taylor, you let that person off the phone by saying, hey, Justin, it was super great speaking to you. Let's just follow up next week and we'll find a good time to look at homes. Shiloh's going to hate that. It does not like that open-ended next step. And honestly, if you're a salesperson, you should hate open-ended next steps as well.
Hey, close
So
that appointment.
yeah. So what Shiloh wants you to do is, hey, Taylor, really good speaking to you. I am pretty wide open actually, like Saturday and Sunday this weekend. What if we just get a time on the calendar now to go see your top 2 or 3 homes? It's really our best next step to get a good gauge on how the market feels, the homes that you're looking at and your price range, right? So let's just get that on the books right now. Closing to a solidified, and we got arguments like this because Shiloh's grading system is very strict around that setting a next step thing. And people are like, well, what if I'm just introducing them to the lender? Or, okay, great, this is the script. Hey, Taylor, good talking to you. I've got a lender, Bob. I trust my own mother with him, by the way, like literally, I have sent my own mother to him. Bob, well, I'll make a text intro here in just a second. Give me 5 minutes as we get off the phone, and Bob will be able to like talk to you before the end of the day. So what we should probably do is like, what's tomorrow afternoon look like for you to just make sure that we sync back up after you have that conversation with the lender, and we can create a good game plan to move forward here, right? So next steps, they hold momentum at all times. That's this very specific coaching feedback that Shiloh is going to give you when you use it. And it took and continues to take millions and millions of reps to get it to continue to understand and improve. So
Oh, that's fantastic. And I really like what your approach is with the personality profile. And I think that what every agent wants is like those people, we all understand the value of a CRM. For me, I'm kind of a freak about it. But to be able to just talk to an assistant that will action things inside of your CRM,
mhm.
that feels like freedom to a lot of people in real estate.
And windshield time, right? It's absolute dead time, or it's not dead time, and we risk our lives, typing on our phones and trying to respond to emails and text messages while driving. Probably way better just to have an assistant where you can just go, hey, I just met with this person. Can you pull that thing up for me? Hey, create a search for 3 bedrooms, 2 baths for Taylor. Send it out every 2 weeks for me. Thank you. Just
Mhm.
so we can now make windshield time productive as well. Because especially newer agents that are going to be very heavy on the buy side, there's just an immense amount of downtime sitting inside of a car at all times. So
So right now, there's like fingerprints that AI leaves by on every email that we send out or every time that we're using marketing. And one of the telltale signs is an M dash.
the old M dash. Sorry, I only laugh because our chief product officer, Austin, is a very grammatically correct human being, and he has always used the M dash. And now he's like infuriated because people
Oh,
think
they
that he's
took
like
it from
using.
him.
Yeah.
He's been robbed.
Yes. It
It
was
was the
like
thing
his
that made
thing,
him
like his
special on
he's
text.
so specific about like his punctuation, and now AI makes it look like when he types an email back, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, that was just AI," and Austin's like, "No, that was actually me typing that."
I don't even know the keyboard mechanism to make an M dash.
Dash dash space.
Really?
Yep.
Interesting. So this is something that maybe not everybody is recognizing right now, but there's a dash that looks like it's extended. It doesn't have a space in between 2 dashes because once you complete what Justin just said, it will reform. And you see this consistently. They use this instead of commas and periods and semicolons and other uses of punctuation, but it is technically punctuation. And I think in most cases it kind of functions like a semicolon.
Yeah, it's a pronounced pause, basically. Kind of like it's a comma on steroids is kind of the best way to put it. I got a mother with a master's degree in English, and I cannot spell to save my life, so I'm a thorough disappointment on that side. Good thing I'm good at math, but the yeah, M dash is a pronounced pause essentially, where the dot 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 is a trailing thought, right? It's a very specific like hey, I have a like example the thing that I was reading here. I have a client in Mesa that wants a safe neighborhood. Dot dot dot. I press
Mhm.
enter and it continues that sentence by saying, I have a client in Mesa that wants a safe neighborhood, M dash. They should look in Eastmark, Las Sendas, or Dobson Ranch. So it's that pronounced, and here we go. As for the comma is like a quick breath. So
And I think that this is going to be like the way that this is going to be socially received is like it's going to be a gluten allergy to people that understand what they're looking at, which is an unrefined AI system talking to you.
yeah, just
Like
give
if they
it.
haven't done enough to mask the M dash, then you know that this is like basic bitches level.
Well, and if you're gonna, for real, guys, if you're listening, if you're gonna use it for copywriting, which is a great idea, by the way, don't sub your creative voice out to it. Like there's some weird studies going on where like neural pathways are not firing anymore when we use AI, and it kind of atrophies those portions of our brain. So like we got some road to go on that. But what you can do is take, I don't know, 10 emails that you've written before, output them as PDFs out of your email system, take maybe a blog post, take a whatever you've written in your style, your way of doing things, and then create a project in ChatGPT. There's folders on the left-hand side where you can click on the folder and create a project. And inside of that project, you can upload documents to the project, upload all of that. So now when you ask it, you can say, hey, right, and then you can give it instructions in the project, like very specialized instructions, like, hey, your role when for this project is you're going to be a copywriter that writes in the voice of Justin Benson. All the uploaded documents are examples of how Justin Benson writes. Period. Fine, we can move on. And then you go into the prompt and say, hey, write me a market report on Tempe, Arizona. Send, goes and does everything, and it comes back in my voice and my likeness and my lack of punctuation that I use when I'm actually typing, right? Like it'll do those things. You can even give it explicit instructions like don't use M dashes. Like that's probably a good start as well. So
Actually, ChatGPT seems to resist that as a command, even in the back. It's super interesting. Even if you tell it to use other forms of punctuation instead, it still defaults to the M dash.
you have to explicitly say, do not colon space bullet point. Do not use an M dash. Next one dot. Do not use an M dash. An example of an M dash is this.
Uh,
Next one down. Here's an example of how M dashes get used in sentences that I do not want you to use. Here's an example sentence, M dash, the rest of the sentence. Giving it the kind of three reference points on like, you're telling it like, don't do this. Here's an example of what the thing is. And here's a real life example of the thing that I said that I don't want you to do. So that way you can spot this when you're trying to output your reasoning, right? Just saying don't use M dashes, depending on where you put that in the prompt and how long the prompt, this gets into nerdy prompt engineering. It may or may not instruction follow very well, and different models are better than other models at instruction following as well. So
and if you are working with these custom GPTs, like I think that most people will eventually be seeking products like Shiloh because the background is pretty intense. For me, with our real estate team right now, as part of them, as part of us becoming AI enabled, we really talk a lot about being a human in the loop.
yeah,
And we made custom GPTs and we add context to them, just like what we're talking about now. The way that we've done it in the past is I have so much video out there. I think I'm like 30 or 40,000 videos in. And you can actually get it to transcribe and analyze these. And then you can ask it to create a voice paragraph or a summary of the writing style and tone and type. And this
yeah.
can be something that goes in there. You can also
Creative
let
brief.
yeah. And you can let them know like your geographic location, your ideal client profile. You can make summaries of all of these things to add context. But for those of people that are old enough, it kind of feels like having a Tamagotchi. Do you remember those?
I did. Well, I had them. They've really died mostly between that and my Gigapet. So
Yeah, yeah. So
yeah.
the idea over time was to feed the machine and the machine will grow. And in the beginning, you need to be like a parent level of human in the loop, like you're
Okay.
taking care of a toddler. And then as you grow these machines, you're essentially trying to build like a companion. And it
Mhm.
shouldn't be like you, it should be a complement to you.
Mhm.
And for me, I started by making things that would sound a lot like me. And then I had it pull context from, there's a character I like from Boston Legal that was played by David, Spader. not David Spade, but another character. And then I also really like the wit that Robert Downey Jr. uses in Iron Man.
Yeah.
And I had it blend that because I go back and rework my emails anyway.
Yeah.
But bringing that energy was like the complement to what I was already delivering in information. You got to make it
Mhm.
fun and readable, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Not just, yeah, fun, readable, and also the reinforcement training is real. The when you kind of mentioned like people using tools like Shiloh, I don't mean this in like a everybody listening should go think that Shiloh is like the best product in the world. You know, we have all of our issues just like any other young company, and we're working diligently to address all of them. However, like the I have this like JB Corner email that I send out every week, kind of like my thoughts on AI and how we're building Shiloh and kind of to our user base. And I reminded everybody, everyone thinks when they look at people on the tech side of this thing, they go, well, AI, doesn't it just like do their jobs for them now? Like, doesn't it just like code and like build things for them? Um, Sort of true. If I was building I don't know, a record keeping system, like I want to create a system that is kind of Google sheets on steroids that I can run very basic transactions or something out of, right? Or like
Yeah, like
list all of
basic
my
bookkeeping on a sheet.
active listings and the lockbox numbers and make sure that we have an inventory of that stuff and where it's assigned and where it's not assigned. Yes, I could create that very quickly. And also, let's remind ourselves that Meta is recruiting people for $100 million a piece to work on AI, autonomous AI, the actual core technology that's below everything. They're not recruiting those people for that kind of money because those people are working on an easy project to solve. They're recruiting people for that money because they're literally working on one of the hardest problems to solve that humanity is facing right now, right? So it's just a reminder that when you are dealing with companies that are building truly agentic AI, not an AI that's like, I had a platform and then I put some AI features in it, but like a truly like Shiloh, we view Shiloh as a person that like lives inside of this computer is the way that we view Shiloh as we continue to grow it up, like the Tamagotchi thing, actually. It's a really great analogy for it. Like, just know that getting that stuff right and getting it right at scale is viciously hard to do. And we are doing our best to be able to do it in really awesome ways. But we are on the forefront of this technology, and it's literally shifting and changing every single day. So
Ever since the beginning of computers, what they've done is multiply results, and that means that they can multiply solutions or problems with equal measure.
yeah,
So careful
productivity.
what you start with. That's
Yeah,
fantastic. Well, I love talking to you because normally whenever we talk, it goes like this, where we just move through very quickly. Now we do have some people here, and I'm not sure if you have much time because we're closing off the show now, but we do have a live audience that's always welcome to ask questions and participate. So we're ready to leave the live broadcast. So thank you guys so much for joining another episode of Leads or Shit. And we are going to move into just the setting with the folks that have joined us on Zoom here. And then we'll take a couple of questions if you've got time. So thank you, everybody, for joining. And thank you so much for coming, Justin.
of course. Thank you guys for listening to my rambling thoughts of an AI nerd. So